If you're over 60, your brain may already be starving. Not for food, but for the right kind of fuel. You might notice it when you wake up and everything feels just a little slower. The names don't come as quickly. You find yourself rereading the same sentence twice. Or maybe your mornings feel heavier than they used to, like your mind is still half asleep, even when your eyes are open. Here's what most people don't realize. Your brain never truly rests. Even while you sleep, it's working, cleaning, repairing, resetting. And when you wake up, it's running on empty. What you feed it first thing in the morning can determine whether your memory stays sharp or whether it slowly begins to fade. But here's the problem. Most people, especially seniors, start their day with the wrong foods. A piece of toast, a banana, a cup of black tea, maybe nothing at all. And yet we expect our brains to stay focused, to recall names, to think clearly. But how can it? It's being starved of what it needs most, especially during the most critical window of the day. This isn't just about breakfast. It's about timing, because scientists now believe that what you eat before 8 a.m. could be the key to waking up your brain's full potential and protecting it from decline. But here's the part no one told you. If you don't give your brain this specific nutrient before 8 a.m., your memory, your mood, and even your energy might start slipping faster than you think. And it all begins with one silent mistake made right after you wake up. Section 1. The morning brain fog problem. Imagine this. You wake up at 6:30 a.m., open the curtains, and the sun floods the room. But instead of feeling refreshed, your mind feels foggy. You pause for a moment, trying to remember what day it is, or why you even woke up that early. You shuffle to the kitchen, make a cup of tea or coffee, maybe toast a piece of bread, hoping the haze will lift. This is the daily reality for millions of people over 60. And while it's easy to dismiss it as just getting older, the real issue might be simpler and more reversible than you think. You see, as we age, the brain becomes more sensitive to when and how we feed it. It needs a precise balance of nutrients early in the morning to activate the memory centers, regulate mood, and keep neurons firing the way they used to. But here's the catch. If the brain doesn't get what it needs within the first hour or two of waking, it starts to slow down even before the day begins. This isn't about intelligence or willpower, it's about biology. The brain is made up of billions of connections that rely on neurotransmitters to function, and those chemical messengers need raw materials. If the body doesn't receive those materials right away, your mental sharpness starts to fade. What you feel as morning fog is really your brain running on fumes. The problem is, most traditional breakfasts don't offer what the brain needs. In fact, some of the most common morning routines, like skipping breakfast, drinking only coffee, or relying on sugary cereals, actually make the fog worse. And over time, that daily fog can grow into something deeper, slower thinking, forgetfulness, even depression. But what if the foods you thought were helping were actually doing the most damage? Let's uncover the biggest myth seniors still believe about breakfast and why it might be setting your brain up to fail. Section 2. The myth of the healthy breakfast. You've been told your whole life to eat a light breakfast, something simple, something fast, something low in fat. So you reach for what looks clean and safe. Toast with a little jam, a cup of tea, a handful of fruit, maybe some cereal. It feels like the right choice, especially if you're watching your weight or trying to eat clean. But here's the hidden truth. These meals are often doing more harm than good. And for seniors, they may be one of the biggest silent contributors to brain fog, forgetfulness, and low energy. Let's break it down. Toast and jam? That's essentially sugar on sugar. Most commercial breads are made from refined flour, stripped of nutrients and loaded with preservatives. Add jam on top and your blood sugar spikes within minutes, giving your brain a short burst of energy, followed by a sharp crash. That crash is what leaves you struggling to focus, yawning by mid-morning and forgetting why you walked into the room. And it's not just toast. Cereal? Most brands are packed with hidden sugars and lack the protein or healthy fats your brain needs to function. Even granola, which is marketed as a healthy option, is often full of sweeteners and oils that inflame the brain rather than nourish it. What about fruit? On its own, fruit seems harmless, and yes, it's packed with vitamins. But if you only eat fruit for breakfast, you're giving your brain fast sugar without the fats and proteins it needs to stay alert and focused for hours. The result? Quick rise, hard fall. And your brain feels the effects first. These light breakfasts feel good in the moment. They're easy. They're familiar. But they're not feeding your brain. They're feeding a short-term energy loop that leaves you feeling weaker, slower, and more forgetful as the day goes on. So, if the traditional breakfast plate is broken, what should you be eating instead? The answer lies in a forgotten brain nutrient that most people over 60 have never even heard of, but absolutely need. Section 3. The forgotten brain nutrient. Choline. There's one nutrient your brain needs to stay sharp, alert and focused, and almost nobody talks about it. It's not in your multivitamin. It's not found in fruit. And it's not something you can feel right away when it's missing. But when levels drop, your brain slows down, sometimes without you even noticing. That nutrient is choline. Choline is essential for producing acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter your brain uses for memory, attention, and learning. Every time you recall a name, solve a problem, or even carry on a conversation, acetylcholine is firing across your neural pathways. But without enough choline in your system, those messages get slower, fuzzier, and eventually they begin to fade. Here's the shocking part. Over 90% of adults are choline deficient, especially seniors. And yet, it's almost never mentioned in routine blood work or diet advice. You might be eating healthy, but still starving your brain of what it needs most to function at its best. Even worse, as you age, your body becomes less efficient at synthesizing choline naturally. That means you need to get it directly from food, preferably early in the day when your brain is preparing to perform its most demanding tasks. Without it, even simple mental challenges feel harder than they should. So, where do you get choline? Not in toast, not in juice, not in oatmeal. The best source, hands down, is something that's been on your breakfast table your whole life, but recently got pushed aside by bad science and fear. The egg. One single egg yolk contains about 150 milligrams of choline. Just 2 eggs can give you more than half of your recommended daily intake. And unlike synthetic supplements, the choline in eggs is in a natural form your body can absorb quickly, especially when eaten early in the day, before your mental energy gets pulled in 100 different directions. And there's more. Egg yolks also contain vitamin B12, omega-3s, and lutein, nutrients that work together to protect your brain from inflammation, support eye health, and enhance concentration. Think of choline like the spark plug in a car. Without it, your brain still starts, but it sputters. It stalls. It can't reach full power. But with it, everything just works better. But timing is everything. Because even if you eat the right foods, when you eat them can make the difference between a sluggish morning and a brain that's fully awake. Let's talk about why eating before 8 a.m. changes everything. Section 4. Time-sensitive nutrition. Why before 8 a.m. matters. You've heard the saying, timing is everything. And when it comes to brain health after 60, that couldn't be more true. You can eat all the right foods, but if you're eating them too late in the morning, you're already playing catch-up. Your brain doesn't just need the right fuel, it needs it at the right time. That time? Before 8 o'clock in the morning. Here's why. Every day, your body runs on a schedule, a built-in clock known as your circadian rhythm. It controls everything from your sleep cycles to your hormone levels to your digestion. And one of its most important jobs is helping your brain wake up. Between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., your cortisol levels naturally rise. While most people think of cortisol as a stress hormone, it's actually essential for alertness. It signals your brain to become active, sharp, and focused. But here's the twist. Cortisol needs support. It needs nutrients like choline, B vitamins, and healthy fats to function properly. Without them, that early cortisol spike can leave you feeling anxious, tired, or mentally scattered. By eating before 8 a.m., specifically a choline-rich, brain-supportive meal, you give your brain the raw materials it needs during its natural awakening window. You're not fighting biology. You're working with it. You're fueling the engine at the exact moment it's ready to run, and studies back this up. Researchers have found that eating within the first 90 minutes of waking improves mental clarity, glucose regulation, and even long-term memory. But waiting until 9 a.m., 10 a.m., or skipping breakfast altogether? That delays your brain's full activation. It forces your system to break down muscle and pull from reserves, leaving your mind feeling foggy, slow, and underpowered. Even your mood is affected. Ever notice how skipping breakfast leaves you more irritable, distracted, or emotional? That's not a coincidence. The brain needs early nourishment to balance serotonin and dopamine, the chemicals responsible for calmness, motivation, and emotional regulation. Without that fuel, you're more likely to feel flat, agitated, or disconnected even if nothing's wrong. And here's something even more surprising. Seniors who consistently eat before 8 a.m. tend to have better sleep patterns, sharper evening focus, and lower risk of cognitive decline. Not because of magic, but because they're syncing their meals with their biology. So if you've been wondering why your mornings feel off, why your energy dips before lunch, or why your thoughts feel just a little slower than they used to, it might not be age. It might be timing. Now that you know why it matters, let's get practical. What exactly should your breakfast look like if you want to unlock better brain power before 8 a.m.? Let's build the perfect plate together, step by step. Section 5. Build the brain breakfast. What to eat. So now you understand why it's critical to eat before 8 a.m. Let's talk about what you should actually eat. Because not all breakfasts are created equal. Some feed your cravings. Others feed your body. But the best ones? They feed your brain. Think of breakfast as a formula, not a feast. You want a balance of 4 simple things: choline, healthy fats, antioxidants, and slow-burning carbs. This combination supports everything from memory retention to mood, regulation, and you don't need fancy supplements or hard-to-find ingredients to get there. Let's build the perfect brain. Breakfast. Start with the foundation. Eggs. 2 boiled, poached, or scrambled eggs are enough to give your brain a solid boost of choline and B vitamins. Keep the yolks. That's where the choline lives, and where most of the brain benefits are hiding. If you're worried about cholesterol, don't be. Recent studies have shown that moderate egg consumption is safe for most seniors and even beneficial for brain health. Next, add a source of healthy fat. This could be half an avocado, a small handful of walnuts, or a teaspoon of olive oil drizzled on your eggs. Healthy fats are essential for brain cell structure and communication. They also help your body absorb fat-soluble nutrients like vitamin D and lutein, both of which play a role in cognitive clarity and focus. Now, bring in some antioxidants. A handful of blueberries, strawberries, or raspberries is all you need. These tiny fruits are loaded with compounds that protect your brain from oxidative stress, the kind that contributes to memory loss and mental decline. In fact, blueberries have been nicknamed brain berries for a reason. Then add a small serving of slow-burning carbohydrates. Think half a cup of steel-cut oats or 1 slice of whole grain or sourdough toast. These types of carbs provide a steady stream of glucose, the brain's preferred fuel source, without the spikes and crashes that come from sugary cereals or pastries. Want to go the extra mile? Sprinkle in some turmeric for anti-inflammatory benefits, or drink a cup of green tea instead of coffee. Green tea contains L-theanine, a compound that works alongside caffeine to enhance focus without the jitters. This entire meal takes less than 10 minutes to prepare. No fancy recipes, no complicated routines. Just real food, real nutrients, and real results. And the beauty of it? It's flexible. You can rotate between ingredients. Swap eggs for a chia seed pudding with walnuts, or have a veggie omelet with spinach and mushrooms. The key is consistency and making sure your brain gets what it needs before 8 a.m. But now that you know what to eat, let's flip the plate. Because what you avoid is just as important as what you add. Let's talk about the hidden breakfast foods that quietly sabotage your brain, even the ones that seem healthy on the surface. Section 6. The breakfast killers. What to avoid. So you've got your brain-boosting foods lined up. But here's the part most people miss. Sometimes it's not just what you add, it's what you need to remove, because even one wrong food in the morning can derail everything you're trying to fix. Let's start with the big one: fruit juice, orange juice, apple juice, even those no-sugar added varieties. They seem healthy, they come from fruit, right? But the truth is, fruit juice is basically a blood sugar bomb. It strips away the fiber and delivers a concentrated rush of fructose straight to your system. You get a temporary burst of energy, followed by a crash that leaves your brain foggy, tired, and begging for more sugar. Next up, refined carbs. That innocent slice of white toast, that buttery croissant, that morning muffin. They may fill your stomach, but they starve your brain. These foods spike your insulin, which leads to inflammation, poor focus, and delayed cognitive response, especially in seniors whose blood sugar regulation isn't as sharp as it used to be. And then there's the healthy trap: granola bars and breakfast cereals. Marketed with words like whole grain, heart healthy, or energy boosting, these foods are often loaded with added sugars, seed oils, and preservatives. They look good on the box, but once they hit your bloodstream, the effect is almost identical to eating candy for breakfast. Even relying on just fruit can backfire. On its own, a banana or apple might be packed with nutrients, but without healthy fat or protein to balance it, your body absorbs that sugar too quickly. And what starts as a light, feel-good meal ends with a crash around 10 a.m. and another cup of coffee just to feel normal again. And finally, let's talk about skipping breakfast altogether. Some seniors think fasting will help them lose weight or simplify their routine. But for aging brains, this can be dangerous. Going without food in the morning forces your body to break down muscle for energy, raises cortisol too high, and leads to erratic energy swings. Worse, it leaves your brain without the nutrients it desperately needs to repair itself and stay alert throughout the day. The bottom line? If your breakfast causes a crash, leaves you hungry in an hour, or feels more like dessert than nourishment, it's not serving your brain. It's slowly stealing your clarity, your memory, and your focus. But here's the good news. When you start replacing these energy-draining habits with real, brain-loving foods, the changes can show up fast. Let's look at what happens when seniors switch to this new morning routine, just for 30 days. Section 7. Results after 30 days. Brain and body. If you start tomorrow morning, just one simple change, you might not feel a huge difference right away. But give it a few days. Then, the shift begins. By day 3, you'll notice something subtle but powerful. Your mind feels lighter. Words come more easily. You're finishing thoughts faster. You don't feel as tired mid-morning. That usual crash you've learned to expect by 10 a.m. It doesn't hit quite as hard anymore. By week 2, your energy feels more stable. You're not reaching for that second cup of coffee or needing a nap before lunch. You may even notice your mood improving. Less irritability, more patience, better sleep at night. That's because your brain chemistry is starting to stabilize. Cortisol levels are more balanced. Dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals, are supported by the nutrients you're now consistently feeding your brain. And by day 30, something incredible happens. You feel more in control. Your memory sharpens. You remember names faster. You speak more clearly. You catch yourself mid-thought and finish the sentence without struggling. Tasks feel easier. Morning walks feel more energized. Conversations feel less frustrating. You feel like you again. It's not magic. It's nutrition, timing, and consistency. Scientific studies support these changes. One study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults over 60 who consumed choline-rich foods daily had better verbal memory scores than those who didn't. Another study linked early day meals, containing eggs, healthy fats, and low glycemic carbs with improved working memory and focus throughout the day. And even beyond the brain, you may see improvements in digestion, blood sugar levels, and even weight regulation, all because you gave your body and mind the proper morning start. This isn't about turning back the clock. It's about giving your brain what it needs to thrive, today, tomorrow, and long into the future. But even if you've never done this before, even if you've eaten the wrong breakfast for decades, here's the truth. Your brain is still capable of change. It's still listening, and it's still waiting for you to give it what it needs. Let's talk about how the brain can heal. Yes, even after 60. Section 8. The brain can still heal. Even after 60, here's the truth most people don't hear often enough. Your brain is not done changing. Even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, your brain is still capable of growth, repair, and even forming new connections. This ability is called neuroplasticity, and it doesn't stop just because you've hit a certain birthday. Every healthy meal you eat, every nutrient you give your body, every smart decision you make, it all sends a signal to your brain. Keep going. Keep building. Keep learning. And when you start each day with a breakfast that supports mental clarity, reduces inflammation, stabilizes blood sugar, and fuels neurotransmitter function, you're doing more than just eating right. You're giving your brain a fighting chance to stay alert, resilient, and strong for years to come. Many seniors believe that once memory loss begins, it's inevitable, that once you slow down, there's no way back. But the science proves otherwise. From increasing choline and omega-3 intake, to optimizing your morning routine, to simply eating before 8 a.m., small, consistent changes can lead to real, measurable results. You don't have to accept brain fog as the new normal. You don't have to live in a slow fade. You can sharpen your thinking. You can feel confident in conversations again. You can read, speak, and remember with clarity. And yes, you can do it starting today because your brain still wants to work for you. It just needs you to work with it. So what's the first step? Tomorrow morning, try this. Before 8 a.m., eat a simple plate with 2 eggs, a healthy fat like avocado, a small portion of slow carbs, and a few antioxidant-rich berries. Do this for just 1 week and watch what happens. You don't need a fancy supplement. You don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle. You just need a plate of real, brain-loving food and the courage to start tomorrow. Your brain has carried you through decades of life. It's helped you raise families, build careers, solve problems, and face hardship. It deserves to be nourished with care. And the best way to honor it? Start before 8 a.m. because those early morning hours are more than just routine. They're your reset point. What you eat during this time doesn't just shape your morning, it sets the tone for your entire brain function for the rest of the day. Try this simple breakfast. Stick with it for a week. See how your memory feels. Notice how your focus holds. Pay attention to your energy, your mood, your clarity. Then come back and let us know. Comment below. What's your current go-to breakfast? And what change will you try starting tomorrow? Your story might inspire someone else to take the first step.